The first time Emeka slapped the plate out of Ada's hand, the food scattered across the floor and the plate shattered against the wall. The room went silent, except for the sound of the spoon spinning on the tiles. Ada did not shout. She did not cry. She just looked at the food on the floor, then at her husband, and quietly said, "I'm sorry, I will cook another one." Emeka hissed and walked away, grabbing his car keys. "I'm not eating again. I'm going out." Ada watched him leave, the door slamming behind him. She stood there for a long time, staring at the mess on the floor. Then she slowly knelt down and began picking up the food with her bare hands. That night, Emeka did not come home. This was not the first time. For almost a year now, Emeka had been coming home late, sometimes not coming home at all. When he did come back, he smelled of perfume that Ada did not own. He was always smiling at his phone, always turning the screen away when she entered the room. One evening, Ada was cleaning the living room when Emeka left his phone on the sofa and went to the bathroom. The phone buzzed. She did not want to check it. She told herself she was not that kind of woman. But the phone buzzed again, and the message preview appeared on the screen. "Baby, I miss you already. When are you leaving your wife?" Ada froze. Her hands started shaking. She picked up the phone slowly and opened the message. There were dozens of messages, pictures, plans, conversations about apartments, conversations about marriage. Her eyes filled with tears, but she did not cry out. She just put the phone back exactly where she found it and continued cleaning as if nothing had happened. That night, when Emeka came out of the bathroom, she served him food and said softly, "How was work today?" He shrugged. "Stressful." She nodded. "Sorry." He ate quietly. She watched him eat the food she cooked, and something inside her changed. Something quiet and cold. 2 weeks later, Ada attended a small family gathering. She sat quietly while her cousins talked and laughed. At some point, the older women began discussing marriage and men. One of them laughed and said, "If you want a man to stay, you must hold him. Men are like goats. If you don't tie them, they will wander." Everyone laughed except Ada. Another older woman leaned closer and said jokingly, "There are ways women keep their husbands, but young girls of nowadays don't know anything." Ada looked at her and asked quietly, "What kind of ways?" The woman laughed again. "Ah, my dear, some women control their husbands through the stomach. The food a man eats in his wife's house is powerful." Ada did not say anything else, but she did not forget that sentence. A few days later, Emeka came home very late again. He walked in humming, clearly in a good mood. Ada was sitting in the living room in the dark. "You're awake?" he asked casually. "Yes," she said. He dropped his keys and went to the fridge. "I'm not hungry. I already ate." Ada looked at him and asked quietly, "Do you still want this marriage?" Emeka paused and then laughed. "Why are you asking stupid questions?" "I'm serious," she said. "Do you still want this marriage?" He sighed and sat down. "Ada, you are a good woman. You cook, you clean, you don't stress me. But you are too quiet. You don't excite me. Sometimes I feel like I married my mother." Ada felt like something stabbed her chest, but she kept her face calm. "So you want to marry someone else?" she asked. He did not answer immediately. Then he said, "Let's just see how things go." That night, Ada did not sleep. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, while Emeka snored beside her. In the morning, she woke up before him and went to the bathroom. She washed her clothes and stood there for a long time, looking at the bucket of water. The sentence from the old woman kept repeating in her head. The food a man eats in his wife's house is powerful. Ada looked at the water again, then slowly carried the bucket to the kitchen. She stood there for almost 5 minutes, thinking, shaking, breathing heavily. Then she poured the water into a pot and turned on the stove. From that day, Emeka ate her food every day. At first, nothing happened. Everything was normal. Emeka still came home late. He still smiled at his phone. He still ignored her. Then slowly, things began to change. He started coming home early. One evening, he walked in at 6 p.m. and said, "Is food ready?" Ada looked surprised. Yes. He sat and ate quietly. After eating, he did not go out again. He just sat in the living room watching TV. A few days later, he came home at 5 p.m. The following week, he stopped going out at night completely. Ada noticed, but said nothing. Then another change happened. Emeka started calling her more often. "Where are you?" He would ask. "At home." "When will you be back if you go out?" "Soon." "Okay, just come back quickly." Ada found it strange. This was the same man who used to disappear for days without telling her where he was. One Saturday, Ada went to visit her friend. After 1 hour, Emeka called. "Where are you?" "I told you I went to see Kioma." "When are you coming back?" "I don't know, maybe later." There was silence on the phone. Then he said quietly, "I don't like when you're not in the house. Come back soon." Ada slowly smiled. "Okay." As the weeks passed, Emeka changed completely. He stopped talking to his friends. He stopped traveling for business. He stopped smiling at his phone. He was always at home, always asking Ada where she was, always wanting her close. One night his friend called him and said, "Guy, you have disappeared. Are you okay?" Emeka said, "I don't know. I just feel like I should be at home." Friend laughed. "Your wife has tied you." Emeka laughed too, but something about that sentence made him uncomfortable. Months passed and Emeka's life started falling apart. He missed business meetings. He lost contracts. He stopped going to the gym. He gained weight. He barely saw anyone except Ada. But he did not seem to care. As long as Ada was around, he was calm. If she traveled for even one day, he became restless and could not sleep. One day, Ada told him she was traveling to see her mother for 2 days. That night, Emeka could not sleep. He walked around the house all night. He called her 6 times. "Are you okay?" He kept asking. "Yes," she replied. "I'm fine." "When are you coming back?" "Tomorrow evening." He did not go to work the next day. He just stayed at home waiting for her. When she returned, he hugged her tightly and said, "Don't travel again. I don't like it." Ada smiled and said nothing. If you are enjoying this story so far, this is the point where most people would normally stop watching, but the real story is just starting. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment where you are watching from, because what happened next shocked everyone. One afternoon, Emeka came home early because a meeting was cancelled. He entered the house quietly and went to the kitchen to drink water. That was when he saw Ada in the kitchen with a bucket beside her. She was washing her underwear in the bucket. He was about to greet her when he saw her carry the bucket, walk to the pot on the stove, and slowly pour the water into the pot. Emeka froze. He watched her stir the pot calmly as if nothing was wrong. His heart started beating fast. He stepped back quietly and went to the living room, sitting down slowly. His hands were shaking. That night, when Ada served him food, he stared at the plate for a long time. "Aren't you going to eat?" she asked. He looked at her and said slowly, "What did you use to cook this food?" She looked straight into his eyes and said, "Water." He swallowed. "Which water?" She did not answer immediately. Then she said quietly, "The water that will make you stay." Emeka pushed the plate away. "You're joking." She shook her head. "I am not joking." He stood up angrily. "Are you mad? You want to poison me?" She looked at him calmly. "If I wanted to poison you, you would have died long ago." He shouted, "Why would you do something like that?" Ada finally raised her voice for the first time in years. Because you wanted to leave me. The room went silent. You wanted to marry another woman. She continued, tears rolling down her face. You wanted to throw me away like I was nothing. After everything I did for you. After everything I sacrificed. Emeka sat down slowly, shocked. Ada wiped her tears and said quietly, "You said I was too quiet. You said I was boring. You said I was like your mother. But you forgot something. Quiet people think a lot." He whispered, "So you did this to trap me?" She looked at him and said, "I did this so you would feel what it means to not be able to leave someone." Emeka held his head in his hands. "What did you do to me? Why can't I stay away from this house? Why do I feel restless when you are not around?" Ada said softly, "Maybe it is not the water. Maybe it is your guilt. Maybe it is your fear. Or maybe you finally realized my value when you thought you would lose me." He looked at her with fear in his eyes. "I want to leave this house tonight." She nodded. "Go." He stood up, picked up his car keys, and walked to the door. He opened it, stepped outside, and stood there for a long time. Then he slowly came back inside and sat down again. "I don't know why I came back," he said quietly. Ada looked at him and said, "Now you understand." If you have reached this part of the story, comment the word revenge below, because this was the moment Emeka realized that some decisions change your life forever. Emeka never proved whether what Ada did was spiritual, psychological, or just guilt eating him alive. But one thing was certain: he never left that marriage, and he never cheated again. Some people say love is in the heart. Some people say love is in the mind. But Emeka used to joke later in life and say, "In my case, love was in the food." And that was how a quiet woman who never shouted, never fought, and never complained took revenge without raising her hand once.